Hi. Um, I think this video literally took off at least 5 years of my life. Yeah, that seems about right. So this video is long as hell. It's somewhere between 1.5 to 2 hours long. I'm not sure where the final marker will be at, but it's long. See, I'm exhausted right now. I am exhausted because this video. I need. If I seem a little scattered brain and not right, it's because I'm not. It's because I'm tired of this video, of filming, of editing, of making slideshows. I just want to be free. I just want to be free. Before we start, I'm going to say a disclaimer. This video is for my friends. It's so that my friends can understand my F1 rambles. If you are not my friend and you are watching this video, sorry, I don't know why you're here. If you couldn't already tell by the title, this is going to be extremely subjective. It's all according to me. If you're looking for like a more solid, objective overview of F1, I'm not sure this video is for you. I'm going to tell you what you need to know to understand me when I talk about F1. I'm going to tell you some key definitions and stuff. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each driver, although those descriptions will all be, my opinion at the end of the day. So don't be expecting to suddenly become an F1 master. If you use what I tell you in this video in like more serious discussions with F1 and people laugh at you, don't say I didn't warn you. I'm not an F1 expert. I never claimed to be an F1 expert. I am just a super fan and is looking to indoctrinate my friends. Here's the deal. I'm going to continue talking about F1 whether you people understand it or not. This is just like supposed to be a helpful guide so that you guys maybe have some context to what I'm talking about. But like if you don't care about F1 and you don't mind being confused, then don't watch this. No one's forcing you. You can go. It's okay. I have just finished editing the majority of this video, but while editing I noticed there were some gaps. I'm not going to re-record everything because that is absolutely insane. But if you see me here with purple hair and this black hoodie, that's me filling in the gaps. Alright. Okay, here we go. One more point of disclosure. I might be saying certain words or names wrong in this video. It's a safe space. No one judge me, okay? The video that not one person asked for, but one person wanted, and that one person is me. This is the 2024 F1 season, according to me. Yay! So first, let's start with key stuff. F1 consists of 10 teams, 20 drivers. There's also backup drivers known as reserve drivers. These guys don't really get much or any drive time, but this year someone did, so we'll talk about him later. The team is led by the team principal, also known as the team chief. They're the head coach of the team, basically. There are 2 drivers per team. Now, these guys are known as teammates, although they're not really the typical teammates you'll see like on a football or baseball team. They're also kind of competition. And the reason for that is because of the 2 championships happening during an F1 season. The first is the World Drivers' Championship, which is a competition between all of the drivers. It doesn't matter if you're teammates or not, you are going against them. This championship is all about the individual driver, and it's from your individual results of a race. You get your points from the races. Where the 2 drivers are more teammates is for the Constructors' Championship, which is the competition between teams. This championship combines the points of the 2 drivers together. The teams can also get extra points from like other situations. I know for sure if you get fastest pit, you get more points. I don't know what else, if I'm being honest. To do good in F1, you need a good car, a good driver, and then you get a good result. Yay! There is stuff like racing strategy and tire strategy, but honestly, we don't need to talk about that right now. It's not important. It's not important. The higher result you get in the races and in the competitions, the more money you get, and then the better equipment you were able to make or buy, and then you get a nice little cycle there. Some more stuff, there's something known as silly season, which is a term to describe when the driver contracts are made. Silly season used to be like the middle months of F1, but this season, ooh baby, silly season was from before the first race and until the first race this year. Oh god. We have this French term that I'm not going to try to say, but it's known as the FIA, and it's basically the F1 overlords. They are the people who are in charge of the guidelines and the penalties and all the nitty-gritty stuff that makes F1 F1. They have been the reason for a lot of drama this season, and kind of every season, so we're going to talk about them a bit. They have people known as stewards, who are basically like their referees, and then marshals, which are like their grounds crew. I actually don't know if the marshals are exactly FIA. I think they are. The other organization we have in F1 is the Grand Prix Drivers Association, also known as the GPDA, and that is the drivers' union. A lot of drama happened with the FIA and the GPDA. Jesus Christ, too many acronyms. So more key stuff. F1 is a European sport. There are non-Europeans in the sport, but it started in Europe and continues to be very European. It continues to be very British, actually. I'm not sure exactly why, if it started in GB, but I know that there are a lot of British people when it comes to the press, when it comes to the commentators. The British are English, and the English speak English. What? I think what I mean by this is that if you want to watch F1 and you're an English speaker, you watch the English programming, aka the British programming, right? It makes sense. This often results in bias towards the British drivers, so the non-British drivers, kind of get the villain edits. Just keep that in mind for later. There's a person called a race engineer. This is kind of like a personal coach, whereas, the team principal is the head coach. The race engineer communicates with the driver during the race about, racing strategies and stuff, all through a little earpiece, so they're literally talking throughout the race. In this video, I mostly mention race engineers when it comes to team orders, which are kind of just like team strategy. The team orders I mentioned mostly have to do with drivers swapping positions. One team in particular did that a lot this season. Sort of related to that is that drivers are given either a number 1 spot or number 2 spot on a team. The number 1 driver of a team is usually the senior driver, which either means the older, more experienced driver, or maybe even just more experience on the team. They're kind of like the lead driver that the team looks to for, track conditions and stuff. It's whatever. Also, namely, they're the more favored driver who gets, the better end of deals and the better strategies, and they get the good stuff. There are indeed other formulas. There's Formula 2 and Formula 3, which are the junior leagues. Formula 2 is obviously the one that's right before Formula 1. Most drivers do that before Formula 1, but some of them will skip it. Fun fact. I don't talk about this at all, but I want to mention it. There's an F1 Academy, which is all female drivers. It's pretty cool. Check it out. This is just some extra context if you want it of the speeds of F1 cars and the reasoning for lap numbers if you're curious. A race always must be at least 305 kilometers, except for Monaco. Monaco is only 260 kilometers. With that in mind, let's also talk about F1 time. An average race is about 2 hours long. One fast lap is about 1 minute and 30 seconds. And the differences between cars and their lap times is often minuscule. The milliseconds always really do count, so keep that in mind. Here's kind of how I would describe what it's like to have a certain, second lead on someone. This is mainly important to keep in mind whenever I talk about penalties. Call upon this for later. Some racing definitions. We have the grid, which is this little picture right here I have here. It's shorthand for just the drivers. People will say the grid this year consists of blah 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 blah, and that's who they are. The grid is also the starting positions of a race, and that's where the term comes from. Some more grid things. The spots on a grid are known as positions. They're often referred to as P1, P2, P3, etc., etc. P1 also has a third name, which is the pole position. So if I ever say, so-and-so was on pole, that's what it means. Here's also the point system. Obviously, 1 through 3rd are the podium. The formation lap is the lap right before the start of the race, and it helps to warm up the tires and engines. We have a couple of flags in F1. These are not all of them, but these are the main ones, at least main ones for this season. Yellow means that the cars have to slow down in the specific section it's waving, lest they get a penalty. Red means that the race is stopped and will have to restart. Green is when it's good to race again after a yellow or red flag or safety car, which I'll get to. Checkered. Checkered is when the race is over. It is the finish line. Bada bing, bada boom. In terms of drama levels, the safety car is between a yellow and a red flag. It's whatever incident happened is too messy for a yellow flag, but not messy enough for a red flag. That's usually when the safety car occurs. And it's an actual car that drivers must drive behind really, really slowly. There's also the virtual safety car, which is like the safety car, but just a little less oomph. A couple more racing definitions. Like any sport, there are penalties that a driver may get. Some reasons why they may get a penalty include driving too close to someone, not abiding to flags, going off track limits, or not following car regulations. Most of the penalties I'll mention in this video have to do with driving too close to someone, which I usually refer to as aggressive driving. Aggressive driving also includes some other reasoning, but that's kind of what I'm talking about here, for the most part at least. If you're curious about car regulations, it has to do with the fact that teams have a money cap of how much they can spend on a car. They can't replace certain parts of a car too many times. Each car has to be within a certain weight. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Whatever. If you do any of these things, you may get a penalty, which might include 5 to 10 seconds added to your race time. A stop and go, which is you have to go into the pit stop, wait a bit, and then continue driving. Duh. You may get fines or worse starting grid positions, or you may get a ban from a race or disqualification. There is something known as DRS, which is the drag reduction system. It just makes you faster. It's kind of like the NOS in Fast and Furious. It's only allowed in certain areas, such as the straights, the long parts in the race, and in good driving conditions, which means like no rain. DRS is particularly useful for overtakes. An overtake is just passing people up, if you didn't know. Lastly, there is something known as DNF. And if you're like me and we're in the trenches of the Dream NCP, let me tell you right now, know that it's not a dream not found. DNF stands for did not finish. It means either a driver retired, crashed, or was disqualified from a race. Retired just means they had to stop for whatever reason, usually because like the car fucked up or something. I don't know. I actually don't know if a race weekend is 3 days or 4 days. I have 4 written down, but I actually think it might be 3. I don't really know. And I don't know because one day is a press and media day that like nobody watches. It's literally just for the like newspapers and the radio shows or whatever. It either happens on Thursday or also with Friday. I don't know. I don't care. Friday I know for sure is also practice. Then we have Saturday, which is qualifying. Qualifying gets you your starting grid position. Also on Saturday there will be an occasional sprint, which is a shorter race with less points and less guidelines. Each race has like requirements that a team must meet in order to not be disqualified, and those requirements are a little shorter for the short race. And then we have Sunday, race day. Yay! Okay, so let's talk about the teams and the drivers. So our first team is our loser of the season. That is Kick Sauber. All these F1 teams have super long ass names that no one ever uses. I underline what people actually call each team. I will say that Sauber has probably the most vile name, and it has to do with the fact that it has the most vile sponsors. Steak and Kick. Oh, wow. Yeah, this team got last place. They suck a lot. They were miserable to watch this year. Dear Lord. Even though I like Sauber's drivers, I feel like I barely know it as a team. I just don't get it. I don't know her. Our first driver is Valtteri Bottas. Here's a quick rundown on the structure. We are working with the team down here of what team they're on and which team they're going to next year. We have their home country flag, their number, the points and position that they ended with in the drivers championship. And also here's me. Valtteri Bottas, I get on a deep and personal level. Do not ask me why. I just relate to him. I get it. Valtteri went from the top dog to the bottom dollar. He was at Mercedes during like its peak, and then he got fired and ended up on freaking Kick Sauber. Valtteri is a pretty decent driver. I will say he's probably a better teammate in the sense that when he was on Mercedes, he was teammates with Lewis Hamilton, who we'll get to later. But in the years that they were together at Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton was the number 1 driver, and Mercedes would always favor him over Valtteri. And Valtteri was kind of okay with it. There's this one meme that goes, Valtteri, it's James. James was Valtteri's race engineer. This meme comes from the fact that James would always come on Valtteri's radio and say, Valtteri, it's James. Can you help Lewis Hamilton out real quick? Can you give him the first place position? Blah, blah, blah. All that. And Valtteri would basically always say, sure. He's also always naked. He has a nude calendar. Yeah. Next we have Zhou Wanyu. Oh, Zhou. He is King Kindness. I don't think like one driver on the grid has anything bad to say about Zhou. Everyone just loves him. He's also a fashion icon. He is always stunning to look, and I love him for that. I hate to see him go. I really do. I feel like I'm just getting to know Zhou and stuff, and I don't know. He's just so nice. But alas, his driving has not met the mark. He will be a Ferrari reserve driver, so he will still be hanging around the garages next year, but he won't be driving. Next, we have Williams. Williams has such an interesting story. They've been around for a while, and they used to be, like, for years, the best team. And then something happened, and they became just the worst team for a while. They've been trying to work their way back up to the big leagues, and they are now not automatically last, which is a joy. They are a family-owned company, one of the very few, I think actually maybe the only one on the grid, which means that they're broke as hell. They have no money, and it's always a problem. They're also kind of Mercedes Junior. Not really anymore, but they have a Mercedes engine, and they kind of share some like administration. Like this James that's now the team principal, used to be the James from Valtteri It's James. Sometimes Williams drivers get promoted to Mercedes drivers. This actually happened with one of the current Mercedes drivers I'll talk about later. But I doubt that's going to happen again for a while because the Mercedes driver lineup right now, they're thinking long term. Ooh! So our first Williams driver got fired halfway through the season, and that is Logan Sargent. Logan is the American. Like, that was his whole personality. He had this one meme that was, what the fuck is a kilometer? He was eventually in on it, I think. People just used it to bully him, mostly, because his driving in F1 was not the best. So people were like, well, bro doesn't even know what a kilometer is. Can you blame him? He did do good in the junior leagues, like in F2, he did good. So what happened in F1, man? What happened? In the 2024 season, he crashed like every other race. It was tragic to watch. I personally think that they set him up. I think Williams set him up where they put too much pressure on him and always gave him the shitty ends of strategies. They just made him look bad. And so he did bad. Sorry, Logan, but bye. And he was replaced with Franco Colapinto. Franco is the dog that dad didn't want. Logan got fired. Everyone was like, no, bring back Logan, bring back Logan. And then we got Franco and we're like, oh, never mind. Franco could stay. Franco is funny. He's a good driver and he's Latino, which means I have no choice but to support him. He's a bit normcore in the sense that if I was famous, I feel like I would use my fame similar to him. I can't explain it. He's just so relatable. Now, he was a good driver in this season. He did get a bit crashy near the end, which people were like, about. I mean, dude, be serious. Be serious! He was a rookie driver, his first time in F1, and those last few races were shitty conditions, so I'm like, bro, do not tamper my man's name. Don't do it. Get my man a full seat immediately! There's actually a chance he will get a full seat in that 2025 F1 season, and that's because he is slated to be the Alpine reserve driver. There's a theory that Alpine will fire one of their drivers mid-season and then replace him with Franco because they know that Franco's a good driver and he's very well liked. I find that shady as hell if they do that. I'll explain more as to why in a second, but all I have to say is get my man a full seat, but not like that. The one remaining Williams driver was Alex Albon. Alex. Yeah. There's a curse happening at Red Bull right now that has to do with Max Verstappen. You may recognize that name if you've watched my White Boy Awards video. Along with being the White Boy of the Year 2024, Max is a incredible driver who's on Red Bull, and whoever is driving alongside him just doesn't compare, and they always end up fired. They always do. And Alex was one of them. Alex had a half decent season and a half miserable one. Like, he had some terrific drives and stuff, but at the end of the day, he was driving a Williams car, so like, how terrific could his year have been, you know what I mean? I am so excited to see him drive next season, and that's because his teammate next season will be someone like guaranteed at his level, maybe even above his level of driving. Logan was a rookie and he never really found his footing, so you know, by comparison to him, Alex just looked like a supreme driver. Comparing him to Franco was interesting because Franco was definitely a better driver than Logan, I think. But Alex still had like experience on Franco, so he still won those comparisons, you know. But next year, he's gonna be driving alongside someone with similar experience, similar skills, so we'll really get to see how good Alex Albon is. It's gonna be fun. Also, sources have been saying that he's not the nicest person off grid. Gulp. But I still like him, so it's okay. Our next team actually might take the cake for worst name, because what the hell is this? Visa Cash App RB Formula One team. Everyone just calls this RB or Racing Bulls. This fucking team also changes its name every other year. It is so stupid. This is the Red Bull Junior team, where Williams is a pseudo Mercedes Junior team. This one is like fully a Red Bull Junior team. It exists to have younger racers join F1, get used to F1, and then get eventually promoted to Red Bull, the actual team. Except they kind of broke that formula this year for one of their drivers. I'll talk about that in a second. I only care about this team for Yuki Tsunoda, and you should too. Actually, the rookie that's joining this team next year seems kind of chill. So maybe like the team for him too. But also like it for Yuki Tsunoda. This is the driver that they broke the formula for. This is Daniel Ricciardo. We do not care. Listen. I'm sorry. I get that everyone else loves Daniel Ricciardo and I'm the only one who doesn't. I think that because I wasn't there for his golden years, I don't get him. I didn't fall in love with him the way everyone else did. I need y'all to shut the hell up about him. He's funny to some, apparently. And here's the deal. Daniel Ricciardo's lore goes a bit like this. He was a good driver. He was at Red Bull, the actual Red Bull. But then he quit once Max Verstappen joined the team. He's not a Red Bull second seat cursed survivor. He's like the creator, I guess. I think what he did was he tried beating the curse by quitting instead of being fired. He doesn't say he quit because of Max Verstappen, but like that's my belief. And a lot of people's belief that he quit because he was scared of Max Verstappen. And that decision might have ruined his career because he never really recovered or never really did good on any other team. And then he was eventually fired and kicked out of F1. He was brought back about a year or two ago on RB, which that's the break in the formula where they hired some old ass driver instead of a younger driver. And now he's no longer good. People will try to say like, no, he still has it. And I go, no, he doesn't. You people are delusional. Yep. He was replaced with Liam Lawson. Whatever. I feel utterly neutral about Liam Lawson, which is apparently more positive than what the general public feels about him. The general public hates Liam Lawson. It mostly has to do with the fact that he replaced Daniel Ricciardo, but I think also people find him like arrogant and not a good driver. To that I say he's just definitely a rookie. He makes rookie mistakes. I don't think he's a horrible driver, but he has room for growth. Off track, I know nothing about this man. I don't care about him. He did start a rivalry with Fernando Alonso day one, which I found that funny. That was funny to me. Red Bull. Ooh. As you can see, he got the promotion to Red Bull next year, which I don't agree with. He hasn't had a full season with RB or in F1 in general. I have a feeling he's going to be the next Red Bull second seat curse victim. If I was Red Bull, the person who I would have hired is Yuki Tsunoda. I love Yuki! Yeah! He's such a good middle fielder. He is always making mountains out of molehills in a good way. That's not how you use that phrase. Oh well. I think he could probably fight in the big leagues for those bigger points if he got the right support and the chance. If Red Bull freaking hired him. Red Bull's excuse for not hiring him was that he's not ready yet and he's too, like, angry as a driver. To which I say, first off, he's a great driver. He's absolutely ready. Secondly, he may be full of rage. That is true. But so are a lot of drivers. Why are you against him specifically? We all know why. He should have gotten that second Red Bull seat. He really should have. Get him that damn promotion. I need him to go insane this season. I really do. I need him to have his villain arc. Do it, Yuki. This video is outdated already. Liam Lawson has been fired after 2 races and Yuki Tsunoda is in. No one is happy about this promotion. This is not how it was supposed to happen. I am a Yuki stan until I die, so he will be giving what needs to be gave. I believe it. Our next team is the Haas F1 team. This team is so goddamn chaotic. Oh my god. They are the cause of so much drama. They're always causing just crashes and behind the scenes drama. It's just so... Dear Lord. They're sort of Ferrari-ish. They're not exactly Ferrari Jr., but I know they have a Ferrari engine and they share reserve drivers. You know, the chaos they have too is kind of a Ferrari thing also. I love to watch this team. They are one of my favorite midfielders. I think currently they're kind of a backup fielder, but I still love to watch them. They're just so funny. The first driver we have is Nico Hülkenberg. Nico is underrated as hell, man. He's kind of known, I think, as the worst best driver, which is like, he's a good driver, but in the lineup of all the good drivers, he's like dead last. But the things that he's managed to pull off in the cars he's driven, not even just this year, but like in all his years, are very impressive. Good for him. Yeah. I demand a Hulk podium in 2025. This man has been in F1 for so long, and he's not even gotten like 3rd place. We need to get him up there. We need to! Next, we have Kevin Magnussen. K-Mag, I'm sorry I slept on you, dude. I truly am. This man is not the best driver, but he is fun to watch. And that is because he is the ultimate teammate. In the fandom, he and Nico Hulkenberg are known as the Haspins, as in the husbands, the Haas husbands, not the has-beens. Not that. The Haspins remind me of No Children by the Mountain Goats because they are drowning. There is no sign of land. They are going down together, hand in unlovable hand, and they're both dying. K-Mag is a kamikaze driver. Like, he will crash into someone if it means that Nico Hulkenberg will get a point. And I love him for that. I mean, it's awful, but I love it. He's also a beloved father and, like, actual husband to his wife. His family is just a delight to watch whenever they're around. So, yeah, there's that too. And then we have Oliver Bearman. Ollie! He's the bear. The second he showed up on my screen, I immediately became a fan of Ollie Bearman. He's just so me. He's so, like, we're twins. Do you see the resemblance? Ollie is the most employed driver to exist, and that is because he's the reserve driver for Haas and Ferrari. He's the reserve driver I mentioned earlier who had an uncommonly large amount of racing time this season. Usually reserve drivers are just there just in case, but Ollie, like, was actually racing. He raced 3 races this year. Alongside being a reserve driver, he was also an F2 driver this season. Man was working. He was working hard this year. He's giving 19-year-old who's working a part-time job that's clearly not part-time. Like, it's full-time, but we're not saying it's full-time so we don't have to give you full benefits. Like, that's the vibe. Ollie Bearman the world. Next is Alpine. This is a suspicious-ass team to me. I don't trust this team not one bit. They're always doing some shady shit to their drivers, and I don't like it. They're French. Even though they're based in UK, they're very French. Whatever. I don't care about them. Ugh. Big reason why I don't care about them is because of their drivers. First, we got freaking Esteban Ocon. I just don't like him. I really don't. I find him so annoying. He crashes a lot, and all his crashes are just so stupid. Sure, he'll have, like, a good result once in a blue moon, but, like, blue moons don't happen often, buddy. Have you seen the Smurfs? What? I will say, though, Alpine was wrong for firing him last minute. As you can see here, he raced 23 races of the season. How many races were there this season? 24. He got fired in the very last race. That was shady as hell. Oh, dear. The person who raced for him that last race was Jack Doohan. Jack, I saw a video of him doing a cartwheel, and now I like him. I'm really easy to win over. All I have to say about Jack is good luck with Alpine, bud. The bus is coming. What bus? The bus that they're gonna throw him under. He's the guy from the theory I said earlier with Franco Colapinto. He is who people think that Alpine will fire mid-season and replace with Franco. The theory is that they'll say that he's not reaching their expectations and blah, 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 yeah. All stuff that is so stupid because boy's a rookie. You can't, like, expect him to be the best of the best straight out the gate. But alas, they probably will. Yeah, they're probably just gonna use his rookiness against him this year. And I feel for him. Good luck, Jack. Ugh, I don't like Alpine. I really don't. And I don't like Pierre Gasly either. He's another Red Bull second seat curse survivor. He was also fired because he wasn't at Max's level. People say he's a good driver. I don't care if he is. I don't like him. Also, everyone loves him and his girlfriend, apparently. I don't even know. I don't even know who she is. I don't know who he is. Whatever, I don't care. God, one stupid ass team to the next. Next we have Aston Martin. Aston Martin is Nepo Baby HQ. Now let me be clear in saying that a lot of these drivers are Nepo babies, but the most blatant Nepo baby is on this team because his dad owns the team. Also, Fernando Alonso is there. That's all I have to say about their team. Like, I know that the Nepo baby's there and also Fernando Alonso's there. I don't know nothing else about this team. So this is Nepo Baby Supreme. This is Lance Stroll. He's the one with the dad who owns the team. He is possibly the dumbest driver on the grid. His driving is so subpar, and the mistakes that he makes are just so... Dude, you are lucky your daddy has money because Jesus Christ. I don't care about him. Whatever. Next we have Fernando Alonso, which Fernando Alonso is the only person not making me hate this team completely. I love Fernando Alonso because who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? There's this joke that Fernando Alonso is the #1 rookie, and that is because he's the most experienced driver, not only on this grid, but ever in F1. He's like 43, I think, years old. I'm not really sure. But he's been in F1 for many, many years. And he has 2 World Driver Championships. So he's real good. Also, this meme comes from the fact that he retired at one point. There was like 1 or 2 years where he was out of F1 because he had retired. But then he came back. I hope he never retires for real. I really do. I love Fernando. Every sport has its villains, and apparently Fernando Alonso is one of them. I don't really know the lore behind that, and I don't really care because I root for him every time. He's also silly on social media. I don't really keep up with him or his team's content, but every time I come across it, it's quite funny. And apparently a lot of it is like his ideas, so that's funny to me. Next, we're entering the top 4 teams. These are the famous teams and the good teams. So first, we have Mercedes. The way I describe Mercedes is old money aesthetic. It's one of the older teams currently on the grid, but it feels like they try to act like they're older. That's why I say aesthetic and not just old money. Because like, yeah, sure, you have old money, but also it feels like you're overcompensating a bit. Also, their team principal is Toto Wolff. Hi, Toto Wolff. Hi. I don't hate Mercedes as a team, but I love one of their drivers, Lewis Hamilton, more. So now that he's leaving Mercedes, I'm just kind of like, so long, Mercedes. Nice knowing you. Their one driver who is staying next year is George Russell, who I also love. I love you, George. George is giving a posh stepmother who may or may not be evil. By this, I mean he's posh. He's extremely British and is always saying the most funny Britishisms. And by stepmother, I mean he's kind of giving mother, but not all the time. You know? We'll get to the evil bit later. George is Mr. President. He is the president of the Drivers Union, and he has had his work cut out for him this past year, and I think will continue to going into next year. Yeesh. George is just so funny without trying to be. Sometimes he does try, and it is funny, but most of the time, I just like, he kind of reminds me of Germa. The idea of him is just silly. Like, he's just silly. George is a great driver, but he definitely needs a better car in order to like fully tap into his potential, I think. What I mean by possibly evil stepmother is that he may or may not be a two-faced bitch. This possibility was revealed to us very late into the season, and we'll get to it later, but if he's a two-faced bitch, then good for him is what I say. I don't care. I love the drama, and I love George. Next, we have Lewis Hamilton. Sir Lewis Hamilton. Thank you very much. This is the man, the myth, and the legend. Like, I'm not sure you understand. This is Lewis Hamilton. Are you getting that? Lewis Hamilton is truly a one-of-a-kind driver. I want you to look at this. Count them. 7. He is tied for that record with one Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher is basically agreed upon, like, literally everyone to be the best driver to ever exist. And he's tied for that record. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. A beautiful parallel has occurred where Lewis Hamilton is also the Alexander Hamilton of the grid. By this, I mean he has nothing to lose and he has something to prove. I'll talk about this more later in my highlights of the season, but it has to do with the fact that he is making a switch from Mercedes to Ferrari. That switch has changed lives. It's changed lives. Lewis Hamilton 8th WDC will happen. Yes, I foresee it. It will happen, and it will happen this year at Ferrari. I foresee it. I foresee it. It will happen. I love Lewis Hamilton beyond belief. It's actually crazy. It's actually crazy. He's my number one. He's the GOAT. He's also like 40 years old. He's only a few years younger than Fernando Alonso and has been in F1 for quite a long time also, which means that his lore is rich and intricate. I couldn't even tell you all about it if I tried. I don't even know all of it. I love this man. Next, we have the Scuderia Ferrari. I'm actually so pissed off by this. It's Scuderia. I forgot the damn I. Sorry if my accent isn't good. I don't know Italian, but I'll pretend I do. Ayo! I have 3 words to say about Ferrari, and that is Forza Ferrari Sempre! Everyone's a Ferrari fan, okay? Everyone is. Ask a child to draw a car. What color would they draw it? Red. Why? Because of Ferrari. Ferrari did that. Ferrari, I'm pretty sure, is the longest running team currently on the grid. They're the it girl. As much as you can't help to be a Ferrari fan, you also can't help but hate it. They make some horrible, horrible calls and just make you want to rip your hair out when you watch. But I love Ferrari. So next is Carlos Sainz. He's technically Carlos Sainz Jr. His dad was a racer, but he's famous enough to drop the junior, so good for him. If Lewis Hamilton is the Alexander Hamilton of the grid, then Carlos Sainz is the Aaron Burr. You know, we rise and we fall and we break and we make our mistakes. He is the one that Lewis Hamilton will be replacing next year, which means that he got booted out of Ferrari. Yeah. Carlos Sainz kind of gives always the bride, never the bridesmaid. Wait, scratch that, reverse it. What I mean by always the bridesmaid and never the bride is that on basically every team he's been on, he's always been like the number 2 driver. He's never been the one to get the best strategies or anything like that. He's waiting for it. He's waiting for it. He is a good driver, but I do think he could be better. Like, I think there's a reason why he got the boot and his teammate didn't. He's known as a smooth operator within the fandom, and that's because he's always singing that goddamn song whenever he has like a good race or anything. And also, he's always making a smooth operation. Like, alongside being a driver, he's always kind of like creating his own strategy that it usually ends up well. Sometimes his strategies are a little bit evil in the sense that they're very selfish, we'll say. But I don't mind it too much. It's usually interesting to watch. Buddy. He's going to Williams next year, which is downgrade at the century, man. It's right up there with Valtteri Bottas being fired from Mercedes and going to Sauber. It's actually probably worse. Good luck, Carlos. I hope that this isn't like his final hurrah in F1. I hope that he's able to bounce back from this, maybe even help Williams build back up to the team they used to be. Oh, also, he's Mr. Director. Well, George Russell is the president of the Drivers Union. Carlos Sainz is the director. Don't ask me the difference. I do not know. He was just instated as a director, though, so he wasn't director in the 2024 season, but that's something to know going into the 2025 season. And then we have his teammate, the one who's staying with Ferrari, Charles Leclerc. Charles might be cursed. Like, actually, this dude has so much tragedy in his life. I truly feel for him. But the way he has been able to keep going despite all these tragedies that have occurred in his life is so, like, admirable, honestly. Like, I respect him so much. He's just, like, strong as hell, man. Strong as hell. And on top of that, he's the freaking Ferrari martyr? How do you say it? Martyr. It's martyr, not mater. What I mean by this is, like, he kind of represents the Ferrari just experience, I guess, fan experience maybe. You know, you put your trust into this team, you hope that they deliver, they tell you that they'll deliver, you believe them when they say it, and then they don't. And then they screw you over, and it's miserable. He is an insanely good driver. People are just waiting for him to win a World Drivers' Championship. They have been for years. Ferrari needs to get him a consistently good car, and then it's over. It's over. He also loves his dog, Leo Leclerc. He seems like just such a genuine man. He's always really nice. I'll talk about this in my highlights of the season, but like, Charles has had many adoptions this year. Not actual ones, like theoretical adoptions. It'll make sense later. It'll make sense. Trust. God bless Charles Leclerc. And then we have freaking McLaren. I hate McLaren. First, they call their stupid color papaya. Bitch, that's orange. I mean, look, they won the freaking Constructors' Championship with 666 points. Is that a coincidence? I think not. And then they have freaking Zach Brown as CEO. He is such a stupid man. And he brought a certain somebody into his fucking garage on a race and was like, oh yeah, blah, 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 I'm so honored, blah, blah, blah. I need him sent to the sun. Immediately. Unfortunately, I do love one of their drivers, and that is Oscar Piastri. Free Oscar is what I say. I need him off this team and so far away from Zach Brown and his evils. Free Oscar. Speaking of, this is Oscar Piastri. Everybody cheered. Everyone freaking loves Oscar. That's like barely even a hyperbole. All the drivers love Oscar. All the fans love Oscar. Everyone loves Oscar. And so do I. I love him. He's got the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Like, he is serving. There will be an Oscar Piastri World Drivers' Championship. I foresee it. It will happen. He is one of only 4 drivers to ever complete every lap in a season. You know who those other 3 drivers are? Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, and Max Verstappen, aka the drivers who are considered the best drivers in F1. Yep. As I said, I need him out of McLaren for personal reasons. Unfortunately, this will not happen for a couple of years because he just signed a multi-year contract with McLaren. I need him to pull a Lewis Hamilton and get out of that contract, babes. I need him to do that. Oh, Oscar Piastri. He just makes me smile. I love him. And then we have Lando Norris. Ooh. Alright, so Lando, I unfortunately had the switch up of a century with him. I was a fan of Lando, like, start of season. I was so happy when he won his first race. I literally, like, cried. But then he lost me sometime in the middle of the season. I don't really know what happened. He just became, like, just so arrogant and whiny. And really what it was is that everybody was shoving him down my throat, and I did not like it. Like, the girlies who are writing the F1 self-inserts, they all love him. The British media love him so much. And I'm sick of his ass. Like, dear Lord. I think he's a good driver. I can admit that. I think he's a good driver, but everyone needs to relax. It's just like, Jesus Christ, calm down, would you? He's not my biggest enemy by any means. I don't hate him. I just don't like him. I do think he can redeem himself. He can't make me like him some more if he like stops being annoying. And then last and probably least, we have Red Bull. First and foremost, let me say that we need to send Christian Horner also to the sun. That man has many an allegation against him and I need him gone. You know, Red Bull as just a brand gives me Disney XD vibes. Does anyone else get that? They're just always giving like extreme sport and edginess and bruh, I don't care. Sometimes I think it's cool. Most of the time I think it's lame as hell. But also they're giving edgy in the racist sense. You know what I mean? Like, we all know the real reason why you didn't hire Yuki Tsunoda Red Bull. We all know. Oh, brother. So first we have Sergio Perez, aka Checo Perez. Checo. He is a Red Bull second seat cursed victim. He was just recently fired and has nowhere else to go, which means he is out of F1 next year, which is so sad to see. He did do some good. He won some races. He did make Mexico proud, but you know, he had a really, really rough season this 2024 season. It was painful to watch. Oh, Checo. And finally, we have Max Verstappen, the winner of the 2024 F1 season. Wah! Max might quite possibly be like the GOAT of F1. Like, he actually might be the greatest of all time. Like it's serious. He's a very aggressive driver, but it is my belief that in order to be that good, you have to be kind of that aggressive. Maybe? I don't know. All I'm saying is that a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do to win. And he does it. He is the slayer. Like, he's slaying and he's slaying. Like, he's killing left, right, and center, and he's doing it with style. Well, style as in, like, cool driving. If there was a winner of best fashion in F1, he's definitely not winning that. I'm sorry. So he won this past season's World Drivers' Championship, which means he now has 4 of them, which he has gotten 4 in a row. 4 Drivers' Championships in a row has only ever happened once before by one Sebastian Vettel, who was also a Red Bull driver, so maybe it's Maybelline. So that was a lie. Michael Schumacher actually holds a record for 5 WDCs in a row. The reason why everyone was talking about Sebastian Vettel was because of that Red Bull thing. And we did it! We did it! And that is all the teams and drivers. Dear Lord. Here were the final placements for the World Driver Championship and the Constructors Championship. Screenshot if you want. I don't know. Moving on. Here are my rankings of the drivers, by the way. Preseason and postseason. So that, you know, you can see where my biases exactly lie. No Ollie Bearman or Jack Doohan because I didn't feel they were, you know, fully part of the grid. We're doing my highlights of the season. Fingers crossed this goes a bit faster now that you know the key players. Oh my god, my hair is a mess. I look like a sea urchin. So this all started on February 1st, 2024. What happened on this day? Well, Lewis Hamilton made his announcement that he was going to switch to Ferrari in the 2025 season. This was truly the catalyst. Like, this was Pandora's box. It changed everything. It changed everything. So this was big news for a lot of reasons. One, including that the silly season started early. Basically, instead of a 2 weeks notice, he gave a 1 year notice. Like, that is crazy. It was also big because Lewis Hamilton had been with Mercedes basically all his career. He had won all his World Drivers' Championships with Mercedes, well, with the Mercedes engine, and he had re-signed for the 2025 season with Mercedes, but he broke that contract. So why did he break the contract? Why the sudden switch to Ferrari? Well, Mercedes has not been where they were for all those years that Lewis Hamilton won those World Championships. They've been on a downhill for a couple of years now. They're not bad. They're just not as good. There's a rumor that Lewis Hamilton will soon retire because he said something along the lines of, I want to be in Ferrari before I retire, so maybe this is like his last hurrah. So those are the guesses for why he's making the switch. I love Lewis Hamilton. You already know that. I really don't want him to retire. I'm really happy he's going to Ferrari because Ferrari, hey, I'm a Ferrari fan. You already know that also. However, there is something known as the Ferrari curse. There has been this pattern of, you know, really skilled drivers who have won multiple championships going to Ferrari and then having their career go downhill real fast. And it does have to do with Ferrari being kind of a shitty team in the recent years. So I really hope that doesn't happen. Also, the actual thing that got me into F1 were these TikTok edits that my brother sent. Fingers crossed I could find them and insert them here. But these are the things that made that parallel between Lewis Hamilton and Alexander Hamilton. And they were like so good, and I was like, I need to understand what these are. I need to understand what's happening here because this looks like juicy drama, and it was. So then we moved on to March and we had our first 2 races. These races were kind of really boring. Not even kind of, they were really boring. And that's because Max Verstappen was winning once again. No one was surprised. He was winning by at least 10 seconds for both of these races, which 10 seconds is a whole lot. 10 seconds is like 10 hours in F1 time. It was insanity. A lot of people thought that this would be kind of like a sneak peek at the rest of the season and that we would just have a heavy Max domination season again. However, it did not end up that way. In the second race, Carlos Sainz had appendicitis and he had to sit it out. This was Ollie Behrman's debut. He got 7th place, which is really, really good for a rookie. He beat a lot of great racers, such as Lewis Hamilton, like, come on. And I think Fernando Alonso, so he beat 2 world champions. Here we had Charles Leclerc's first adoption, too. Again, this is just adoption in the sense that he was helping Ollie Behrman in the garage and on the track and yada, yada, yada. It was cute. So yeah, Carlos Sainz had appendicitis and he had to miss a race. But wait, this led to Carlos Sainz winning the very next race that he was in, the Australian Grand Prix. He won. If you've seen the F1 ship slideshow, he won with, it was a Carlos Carlando daily double. This was a huge deal because not only did he win just like fresh out of surgery, but he also like beat Max, which had been kind of a feat otherwise thought to be impossible, and he kind of made it possible. Granted, Max didn't finish because his engine caught on fire, but still this race and this win kind of showed that Max wasn't untouchable. Like, it was possible to beat him. Lewis Hamilton also didn't finish because he had engine failure, and something suspicious happened where George Russell crashed in the last lap. And if you can see this picture here, this is him. If you can see, it's literally right there. He's in the middle of the road and there are cars coming at him at 100 miles per hour, and there was no immediate red flag. George was stuck here in his car in the middle of the road with these missiles coming at him for the rest of the race, and it's a miracle that he wasn't like fucking killed. This was red flag, let's say, number 1 of the FIA acting strange this season. Moving on, we had the Japanese Grand Prix, also known as Suzuka, and here we got a yoint, which is a Yuki point. Yuki point. Write it down. Yuki became the first driver to score a point in his own race since 2012, so that was really nice. Good for him. Good for him. Next, at the Chinese Grand Prix, we had Oscar Piastri tweeting, "My great-great-grandfather was Chinese, so I think that makes this my 1/16th home race." This was a funny little arc that'll continue, so here's the start of it. Now, Oscar Piastri is a notoriously great tweeter. He dropped his bombshell in 2022 before he was in F1, but he was being signed into F1. Basically, Oscar was an Alpine reserve driver, and Alpine thought and had made an announcement saying Oscar is getting a promotion, he's being a driver next year. But then Oscar tweeted this out. He said, "I understand without my agreement, Alpine F1 have put out a press release late this afternoon that I am driving for them next year. This is wrong, and I have not signed a contract with Alpine for 2023. I will not be driving for Alpine next year." He ate up. This is why he is that bitch. Like, be serious. Be serious. So yeah, Oscar is known for having a banger tweet. Moving on to the Miami Grand Prix, we had Lando Norris's first win. And I did call him Lando No Wins on this slide because that was his nickname. Bro had been, I think, in F1 for like, let's do math. I can't do math. I think he had been in F1 for like 6 years, maybe, and he had 0 wins to his name. And that's been exacerbated by the fact that he's been on a team that had won in the recent years, so, you know, people were like, and he had been so close so many times too, and he just like fucked it up in the race. So this was a nice moment. I did kind of tear up at this race. It was nice. It was nice. It felt like a long time coming. Also, this made this meme that in order to win, you had to get an injury because Lando Norris had like gotten in a biking accident or something. I don't even know what happened, but he hurt himself. Max did not DNF, so he did actually beat Max in this race. So people were saying you have to make a sacrifice in order to beat Max. And one of the Italian Grand Prix, Oscar Piastri, tweeted this out. Just another little silly moment. Also, at this Grand Prix, I found these photos while doing research. Because yes, I did do research. Actually, research might be stretching it. But I did come across these photos, which I hadn't previously seen, and I love them so much. Like, I just love George. He's so funny. Oh my goodness gracious. We were breaking curses left, right, and center. We had Monaco, and my man Charles, he broke the Monaco curse. Basically, Charles is from Monaco. He hasn't run his home race in all the years he's been in F1. No one from Monaco had run the race in like decades. But this year, the stars had finally aligned, and he finally freaking won, and it was beautiful. Literally crying, sobbing. It was lovely. I have this meme here that kind of sums up the vibe. This was said by a commentator, I believe, while he was crossing the finish line. It goes like this. It says, in 2017, Charles Leclerc lost his father, and on his final days, he told his father a white lie, that he made it to Formula One, that he signed the contract. It wasn't true then, but his driving has made it true now. And look what he's done with the opportunity. The grandstands he saw built as a kid growing up now rise for him, and for the first time in 93 years, this fabled race is won by one of their own. Charles Leclerc wins the Monaco Grand Prix to achieve his dreams. I'm crying. Like, what? So good. And then we have the peak of the Oscar Piastri Twitter arc where he says, searching for my family tree to find any trace of Monegasque roots. To which Charles Leclerc responds, I can adopt if you need it. Second adoption of the year. And Oscar Piastri says, call me Oscar Jack Piastri Leclerc. Want to meet my new brother Leo, the dog, on Thursday if he can pop to McLaren. Literally everybody on got into this joke. The official F1 like made this graphic for the practice. Arthur Leclerc, Charles Leclerc brother, said, I'm really happy for my brother and nephew. My new brother, I hope he helps us in the race. It was so silly vibes, and this is now like a running gag that Oscar is Charles' son. Also at the Monaco Grand Prix, we had a huge moment for Car. Again, if you saw the F1 ships slideshow, you know about Car, you know that they're enemies to lovers. This was big for them. This was big for them. Canadian Grand Prix apparently was a crazy race. I did not watch it, but I did see this one moment where Alex Albon did a little sexy little move where he overtook two cars in like one corner. It was so good. Ooh, baby. Next, we had the Austrian Grand Prix. George Russell won this race, which made him the 5th winner in like 10 races, maybe, more or less, which is a lot more than last season. There was like 3 winners last season, so you know, big ups. But more importantly, this race was the beginning of the Max and Lando drama. Miami was technically the beginning, but like to me, this was like more, we were fully in it at this point. As we know, Max is a very aggressive driver. This will occasionally lead to dangerous driving, and there was a moment in the race wherein I don't even know what exactly happened. I think probably what occurred is that Max drove a little too close to Lando, shoved him off the track. Lando got pissed. That led to like this really funny moment where in the post-race interviews, they were actually being interviewed right next to each other and like talking shit about each other right next to each other. I live for the drama. It's messy. I love it. And then we had Silverstone. Lewis Hamilton won Silverstone, his home race, for like the 9th time. This was Lewis Hamilton's first race since 2021, I believe, which is crazy. And it was at home, so it was such a beautiful, beautiful thing. It was, he was crying, I was crying, like it was lovely. Also, he broke like a couple records with this win, but I'll talk about all those records later. Girl, put your records on and count them. This is the 6th winner of the season. It's so exciting. And then we had our 7th winner of the season with freaking Oscar Piastri. Yeah! My faves stay on top. This was Oscar Piastri's maiden win, his first win, except it was tainted by a certain papaya rule. Let's talk about it. So what are these wretched papaya rules? Let me paint you the picture. Oscar Piastri was leading. Then Oscar pitted to change his tires. Except it was a bad pit strategy. Something went wrong where now Lando was leading and Oscar exits behind him. So of course, because Lando's leading and he wants to freaking win, he zooms ahead and Oscar Piastri can't pass him. So then we had a little radio call where the engineer was like, Lando, papaya rules. Oh no. Oh no. Papaya rules are basically team orders. We don't know what they are exactly, but we know that they're probably like agreements between the drivers for optimal strategy or fairness. I don't know. We could assume that papaya rules in this instance was that whoever was leading at so-and-so point was going to win the whole thing. And because Oscar was leading at the so-and-so point, he was going to be the one to win the whole thing, which meant that Lando had to give up his number one spot. After like laps and laps and laps of Lando leading, he finally lets Oscar pass him. Oscar Piastri passed him. And no one is happy about it. Lando is peeved as hell that he has to give up his win. And Oscar is like apologizing for winning. Why did they do that to my boy? To my boy's first win. They ruined it. They ruined it. But whatever, he ended up winning and Lewis Hamilton was up there with him and we had this beautiful, beautiful shot. I'm gonna frame this. I'm gonna print this out and frame it over my bed. So I gotta watch it before I go to sleep. In Belgium, George Russell won again. Except, no, he didn't. He was disqualified post-race because his car did not He was disqualified post-race because his car did not meet the weight requirement. Jesus Christ, I can't speak. It was too light. So, Lewis Hamilton ended up with the win. And we had this lovely podium of my three faves. I'm not mad about it. I'm sorry, George Russell, but I'm not. In the Dutch Grand Prix, we had Lando Norris win again, and this was, now hold on, why does Lando keep winning? Why does he keep getting so many points? Are we having a title fight? Is it not automatically that Max Verstappen is going to win the championship? Is Lando Norris going to win? It's possible. It's possible. Let's see. Also, as Zandvoort, Logan Sargent crashed. Who's surprised? His exit of his crashed and burning car. People like this photo a lot and they say that Logan left with the coldest photo because, well, immediately he left. Bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Yeah, this was tragic. Oh, hello. Oh, hello, Franco Colapinto. Hello. So now Franco's in, and we're not too upset about it. Moving on, we have the Italian Grand Prix where Ferrari won. Ferrari won. This was big. This was big for Ferrari. This is their home race. I mean, look at this crowd. That's a cult. And I'm part of it, happily. Well, not only did Ferrari win, but the prince of Ferrari won, Charles Leclerc. He has the longest signed contract with Ferrari. I actually don't know when it's ending, but I want to say it was signed for like 5 years or something. Something, maybe even more, but it was signed for a lot of years, which is not typical of any team, and especially not one as prestigious as Ferrari. So he's the prince of Ferrari. Also, Carlos Sainz, I think, got like third or something. So they were both up there on the podium, I think. Were they? That might have been a lie. Oh well. God, I forgot about this. On September 11th, Oscar Piastri tweeted out this picture of him and an airplane with the caption, "A few more buttons than I'm used to." He immediately deleted it once he realized what day it was in America. I think he should have kept it up. I think it's so funny. Oh, Oscar, I love him. I love him. And then he won. And then Oscar Piastri won his second race, and this one felt way better. It was totally just his own doing. There were no freaking papaya rules. No one could make the argument that he was given the win. It was completely his. This was also the first ever all F2 champion podium. Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Oscar Piastri have all won F2. So that's a fun little fact. Ollie Behrman had to race this race because K-Mag got freaking banned for being a war criminal or for having too many penalty points. They banned him from this race. So Ollie Behrman was in it. Also, Franco Colapinto, I think this was his debut, and they both got points, so it was nice. There was a couple of dumb crashes in this race and a lot of good racing.
Look at these two. in the land of fire, driving the matches. This is amazing.
There was a lot of just silliness in like the pre and post interviews. Good race weekend. Here are some more moments. We have Lewis Hamilton and Franco Colapinto sharing an umbrella, and Ollie Behrman looking on with, I'm not sure what this is, admiration, envy, one of those. These two are definitely Lewis Hamilton fans, because I mean, anybody who's anybody is a Lewis Hamilton fan. So I'm sure Franco was like screaming on the inside, and Ollie probably knew it. We had a little Stappen moment, which, I mean, when isn't it a Stappen moment? There was also silliness inside the race. Williams had forgotten to like take out, I don't even know what this shit is, but they had left something on Alex Albon's car mid-race. So bro had to throw it off.
We're going to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Oh, Williams. Also, Oscar Piastri's mom was here, Nicole Piastri. Hi, Nicole. She was here, and she got to see her son win, and it was lovely. Oh, we love it. Ooh. And then in Singapore, we had the FIA villain arc continuing. In an interview before the race, Max had said, I went into qualifying, I knew the car was fucked. And then like a day or two later, Max was fined for language, and he was assigned community service. What? This was a really big deal because everyone, especially the drivers, were like, why do the drivers have to censor themselves? And why is the punishment a ton of money and community service? Like, how does that make sense? Max was especially pissed, and to kind of protest his decision, he had hosted his own press conference, which he was not allowed to do on the way to the official press conference, unless it was coming out of the official press conference. But I know walking to somewhere, Max would have like reporters follow him, and he would answer questions like that. And we had these cunty ass photos. The Slayer! The Slayer! Ooh. In Singapore, Daniel Ricciardo had the fastest lap on the last lap. That was huge for him. Notice I haven't talked about him a lot in these highlights, and that's because he kind of had a shameful season. Very boring. Very sad. But this race in particular kind of had like an aura of melancholy to it, where it's just like, why does it feel like someone's dying? Well, that's because someone did. Ew. This was tragic for a lot of people. I'm not sure I was one of them, but I can't admit that this was kind of just like a shitty way to go. Basically, Daniel Ricciardo had known that Singapore was going to be his last race. So that's why he was literally like tearing up in these post interviews and stuff. RB, his team, did not let him tell anyone that he was out. Instead, we just got these really sad vibes. This is like being fired on Thursday and expected to come to work on Friday. Like, oh, that sucks. If you're a fan of Maxwell, Lando Norris had the fastest lap before Daniel Ricciardo, so he had snatched that away from him. And as we kind of already mentioned, Lando and Max have, at this point, they were fully fighting for that title championship and trying to get as many points as possible. So for Daniel to take away that extra point that comes from the fastest lap, it meant a lot. Max was told about this like in the car and by his race engineer, and he was like, thank you Daniel, and the girlies were crying. Exit Daniel Ricciardo and enter Liam Lawson. Nobody moved. And then we had a very exciting triple header where we started with the United States. There's actually 3 races in the United States, but this one is called the United States Grand Prix. There was a sprint this weekend, and in this sprint is where we had the start of the Fernando Alonso, Liam Lawson rivalry. I just like these photos of Fernando like scolding Liam. They're so funny to me. And this kind of vibe of violence continued in the Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen and Lando Norris the girls were fighting. This is a photo of Max debatably pushing Lando off track. I don't remember the race exactly to know if it was like justified or not, but either way, I don't care. So then the violence continued in Mexico, where Max was given a 20-second penalty, which is, hey, outstanding penalty for sure. Nearing the end of the year, Max was given like gifts that represented each race or whatever, or like key moments from the season. And for Mexico, he got just a printout of this graphic, and he was like flabbergasted. He's like, this is how it showed up on TV. Oh wow. And he said, let's try to make it 40 next year. He's so funny. He doesn't give a shit. He don't give a fuck. Speaking of fuck, Charles Leclerc in I think post-race interview said fuck. This is just another Verstappen moment for the ones who like Verstappen. Those who swear together stay together. I stand with my cancel wife. Also in Mexico, we had some interesting fashions. This is a 7.5 because it didn't exactly 8. Am I right? But I appreciate the effort. Also, we had a lot of cool helmets, So thank you, Mexico, for always giving us the culture and the fashions. For sure, for sure. Fernando Alonso also had a themed helmet, but not for Mexico. He had one because this was his 400th race weekend. This makes him the most experienced driver ever. You gotta salute him for that. That is a fascinating feat. Carlos Sainz won the Mexico Grand Prix. Also, peep the drama. Carlos Sainz literally got to the podium with his car on like an elevator. It was so dramatic and I loved it. Carlos Sainz, this was his last win with Ferrari and it was so bittersweet. You know, his parents were there. His mom had got to see him win, which I don't think she had before previously. And again, he had won with his two bays. We had another Carlos and Carlando moment. He was absolutely thrilled. It was lovely for him. Oscar Piastri, my beloved. We had a little Land Oscar moment with this yearning gaze, and we had some car moments. You know, can I say it? Car might be my favorite ship. And it's funny because I didn't realize it was real until like semi-recently. I thought we were joking. I thought we were pranking, but no, it's real. And low-key, I love it. The context of this radio, I think, was that Carlos was doing risky driving around Oscar, and Oscar was like, bro, you're being stupid, in Oscar language. This was a post-race picture. Carlos Sainz used to be on Team McLaren, so he knows a lot of these guys. Obviously, he's friends with Lando. So this was a nice little photo bomb, and you know, look at the car guy. Oh, I love it. This is a triple whammy. We have Lando, and Lando Scar. Lando Scar? Land Oscar. I don't know how you say it. Oscar Piastri also swore this race, which might have been a protest to the FIA being bitches, and also is a testament to how chaotic, I'm not sure if that's a word. It's a testament to the conditions of this race, because it takes a lot to make that man break his little stoic persona. I need to take a breath for this. I actually need to drink some water. You know what? We're taking a break. We have finally arrived to the Brazilian Grand Prix. If you let me talk to you about sports in any capacity, then you have heard me talk about the Brazilian Grand Prix. This was, in my opinion, the best race of the 2024 F1 season. It was insanity. My explanation of this will not do it justice. If you are ever able to watch the extended highlights of this race, I absolutely would suggest it. If you're able to get your pause on the actual race, I would suggest it. All of it was so... This race weekend had a sprint. In this race, we had some more stupid papaya rules and some shady FIA business. And they went hand in hand together. Oscar was winning this entire race. He started in P1 and it was looking like he was going to finish in P1. Except his race engineer had come on and said, Oscar, papaya rules. We can assume that the papaya rules in this race were that no matter how the race was going, if they were leading the race, no matter who it was, Lando Norris was going to end up winning. Why? Because as we've mentioned, Lando was in contention for the championship. He was still struggling quite behind Max, but if he got like maximum points every race, there was a chance that he could win. And so McLaren was like, let's try to get him maximum points. That means letting him win and letting the Oscar lose. Except tragedy struck in this sprint. Nico Hülkenberg had crashed, and it was a bad enough crash for a virtual safety car minimum. Except the FIA didn't call even a red flag until Oscar and Lando had switched positions. So now Lando was leading the race and Oscar was second. As soon as they switched positions, then the FIA called it. This matters because under a safety car, you cannot switch positions. And also this crash happened nearing the end of the race. So there was a chance that they were going to finish the race under a safety car, or that the FIA would just call the race then, and that you would end up in the position at whatever position you were currently at. So the fact that the FIA had waited for those two to switch smelled an awful lot like bias. This theory of bias was later strengthened because Max got third. As you can see, he got third. Post-race, he had gotten a penalty for getting too close to Oscar at one point of the race. And the FIA had said, actually, that bumps you down to fourth. So now you get even less points than what you got before. That's suspicious as fuck. suck. So then we got to qualifying. Now I should say that this weekend was a wet ass weekend. It was raining a ton the entire weekend. So there were a lot of changes in schedule. Like qualifying occurred on Sunday instead of on Saturday, like way early on Sunday. And of course, a lot of crashes, both in the qualifying and in the actual race, but we'll get to that in a second. One important crash that did happen in qualifying was Alex Albon crashing, and this crash was so bad, and because this qualifying happened on race day, he was not able to fix up his car in time, and he couldn't start the race. So that added to the drama of the weekend. In qualifying, we had more suspicious ass FIA calls where Max Verstappen had ended up in 12th place. That's insanity. I have to explain so much to you in order to explain why this 12th place is suspicious. But basically, Max Verstappen's time was cut short because of the FIA's doing. Alright, got it, good. And then post-qualifying, Max Verstappen was given a penalty or something. I don't even know what happened, but he was given a penalty, so he was bumped down to 17th out of 20. Ooh! Qualifying was so bizarre, and it ended in the most bizarre way with the most random starting three. We had Lando Norris in first, George Russell in second, and Yuki Tsunoda in third. The hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? Like, what? I like these comments. These are my burner accounts. Like, that's me. A quick pause before we get to the actual race. Brazil is the home race of one Ayrton Senna. You may have heard of him. He is like one of, if not the most famous F1 driver. He was really, really good. And he died in a race. I don't remember the race he died in, but he died in a race. And to commemorate him, they had Lewis Hamilton drive Ayrton Senna's car and wave the Brazilian flag. So that was really nice. And we had this big old helmet made out of, I think, recycled items with all the drivers inside, which is so silly. Here's Sebastian Vettel. I've mentioned him a couple times. He used to be the director, I believe, of the drivers union, but now that's Carlos Sainz, if we recall. So the race starts, and immediately we have a crash. During the formation lap, before the race even starts, the one and only Lance freaking Stroll. Oh, he would that. So this gives us an aborted start, meaning that the whole race procedure has to start over again. And then the next time that the race starts, there's a starting procedure incident. Lando Norris, who was in P1, and a couple of the others had started not when they were supposed to. So that led to them getting fines and stuff. Fines that are smaller than the fines that Max and Charles has to pay for swearing. Isn't that crazy? That's so crazy to me. When the race finally starts, we have Max Verstappen going up 6 places in one lap, making him from 17 to 11. Damn! When the race starts, we also have outstanding penalties galore. We have Ollie Behrman and Oscar Piastri with 10 seconds each. I believe both of their penalties have to do with the fact that they just got too close to other drivers, which obviously dangerous driving results in penalties, but can you blame them? This right here, look at this picture. This is a screenshot from the race. This is what the visibility was like. Can you imagine freaking driving in that at 100+ miles per hour? Oh, I'd be terrified. Oh, I'd be peeing my pants. So of course, everyone was skidding, and there were so many crashes and collisions. It was scary. Ollie Behrman actually said during this race, I believe it was, I just don't want to die. What are y'all doing to this poor 19-year-old? Let him live. How do you, as the people who are in charge of the races, hear a 19-year-old say that and let them continue? Y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. But well, I guess it ended up in entertainment, so who cares? So we had our first virtual safety car in lap 28. Because of the rain had gotten too intense. I don't remember if this was also a reasoning for the virtual safety car, but I know around this time, around lap 28, Nico Hülkenberg also skidded out of the race. So yeah, we had a virtual safety car to just regroup, I guess. Most drivers used this chance to pit to get different tires, except for Esteban Ocon. This move ended up being great for him, because at one point, he was leading the race. Now, if we remember, Esteban Ocon is from Alpine, the shady ass team. At this point of the season, Alpine was in 9th place of the Constructors' Champions. So this was huge. The fact that he was leading a race, oh, it's upside down. We are in upside down territory, and I don't mean the Southern Hemisphere. So then once we're back in the race, 2 seconds later, we get an actual safety car because of the rain. And then 2 more seconds later, we have a red flag because, oh man, Franco Colapinto's crash. This was actually so tragic because he was the fan fan favorite of this race because he's Argentinian and, you know, they're in Brazil, so neighbors. That was sad to see. And then we had a black flag, which is the first in 17 years. Nico Hulkenberg got a black flag because in that spin out I mentioned earlier, he had received help from the marshals in getting back into the race. His car was like stuck. So then the marshals went out and pushed him out and he had rejoined the race. And that's illegal. You're not allowed to have outside help in the race. So he got a black flag, which is an immediate disqualification for an individual driver. After the red flag in the race, we had our green flag in the pit lane. Now this start is quite uncommon, so there's, you know, just a ton of weird shit happening in this race. Lap 39, we had another flag. I don't remember what it was, but it was because Carlos Sainz had crashed, so, you know, just everyone's crashing. And then insanity. By lap 43, Max Verstappen had taken the lead. If we remember, he started in 17th place, and he had somehow managed to get up to number 1. These are the conditions. These are the conditions in which Max Verstappen is weaving and speeding through everyone to get to number 1. That man is a machine. That man is a killer. He's the slayer. I'm telling you. By lap 46, we have freaking papaya rules. How are they everywhere? How do they manage to weasel their way into everything? I hate them. Them as in McLaren. Lando had spun out from his lead and now was like in 7th or something. I think actually in 8th, and Oscar was in 7th. So then McLaren was like, Oscar, can you let Lando pass? Please, 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 please. And Oscar was like, fine. So then he did. Whatever. So then by the time the race had finished, we had an Alpine 2-3. We had 2 Alpines on the podium. This is what the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? Like, what the hell? This finish for them had brought them up to 6th place from 9th place in the Constructors' Championship. And of course, Max Verstappen won by 19 seconds. Oh my god. Again, he started 17th place. He was racing in these shitty ass conditions where visibility was like nowhere. He didn't have DRS, which DRS helps to do overtakes, so somehow he managed to overtake without that boost. And then by the time he was winning, he kept going. He didn't slow down. He got multiple fastest laps just to prove a point. I didn't mention it, but this whole race weekend, Max Verstappen was being torn apart by the press, specifically by the British press, where they were telling him, like, don't you think you're a little bit of a too risky driver, and aren't you too dangerous on the track, and blah, 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 blah. This is one clip where Max Verstappen just goes,
Ik hoef mijn rijstijl niet aan te passen. Als iemand dat moet doen, is Max dat. Ben je het daarmee eens? Maar jij gaat dat helemaal niet aanpassen.
3 keer wereldkampioen. Er hoeft niks aan te passen.
And I go, oh, he ate with that. Oh, y'all can't touch him. Oh, I see. I get it now. This was the race where I finally got the Max Verstappen high. Like, I understood why he is that bitch, still that bitch. Winning by 19 seconds was not only just a huge accomplishment, but just a huge fuck you to everyone who doubted him or was judging him, and it essentially put to rest the Max versus Lando title fight. Technically, Lando still could have won after this race, but he would have to like literally win every other race after this, and Max would have to like literally not even get 1 point. So it was basically over for him. Here are some splendid photos. Oh my god. Also, this is Pierre and Esteban, right? I didn't mention it in their character analysis, but these two have gone through divorce. There has been a French Civil War is what it's called. These two used to be like best friends back in the day, but then something occurred, I believe something Challengers like, where there was a girl that came between them and they became enemies, like for real. And then they became teammates, and it was always kind of tense between them. But this race, it cured them. During the post interviews, they were attached to the hip, hugging each other, smiling, looking longingly into each other's eyes. It was, oh wow. We had this fun little parallel where back in 2018 at this same Grand Prix, Max Verstappen in like the post-race cool-down rooms or whatever, I think they were in line to get their weight check. He had shoved Esteban Ocon because, I don't know, they were being two little brats to each other probably. They're both divas, so it makes sense. And Esteban's freaking annoying, so I don't blame Max. So yeah, we had them literally physically fighting each other to them sharing this beautiful moment together. This Grand Prix, I know I say it a lot, but this Grand Prix truly changed lives. It was fantastic. To officially put the Max versus Lando title fight to an end, Max Verstappen freaking won. He won the world championship in Vegas. Max had gotten 5th in the race, but it was enough points to secure him that title. Like, it was impossible for anyone to beat him at this point. Also, here's Fernando Alonso pinching Max Verstappen's cheek after the race, after he had won. Oh, I just find that fun. At one point, Pierre Gasly was telling his people he was low on power, but then Alpine, being the idiots that they are, they said, everything is okay for us. And he said, I have no power. He screamed it out, and immediately his engine like exploded. Like, he caught fire. He's okay. He's okay. So, you know, it wasn't that bad, but Alpine's stupid as hell, man. Then we had another Williams crash. I believe this reaction is to Franco Colapinto crashing. I just find it so tragic. Williams always has the most like depressing reactions to their people crashing because they crash so often and they have no money for repairs. So it's just always so sad to see. Oh God. Oh God. Also, before this race, Toto Wolff had made a comment about Lewis Hamilton switching over to Ferrari. This is the whole quote. I'm going to read to you the most important part where he said, we're in a sport where cognitive sharpness is extremely important, and I believe everyone has a shelf life, so I need to look at the next generation. Ages as comment, okay? But not to fear, because Lewis Hamilton fought right back and he said, you know what? I'll get second place. Fuck you. He almost won. He almost won, but he wasn't quite able to reach George Russell, who did end up winning. But yeah, he got second place, and you know, he made Toto Wolff shut up real fast. So good for him. Vegas was also the location of the Carlos divorce. This is what I was talking about when I said that Carlos can have strategies that can be a little bit selfish. Ferrari is trying to give team orders to Carlos so that they can have the most maximum points in the Constructors' Championship, but Carlos was not having it. He just wanted maximum points for himself. They had told Leclerc during the race, Carlos has been told not to put you under pressure, so just take care of your tires. To which Charles had said, maybe try in Spanish, because Carlos wasn't listening, so he's like, try it again, because this bitch isn't listening to you. And then after the race, we had this incredible monologue from Charles. He had said, yes, whatever you want, as always. Yeah, I did my job, but speaking nice fucks me all the fucking time. All the fucking time. It's not being nice. It's just being respectful. I know I need to shut up, but at one point it's always the same, so, oh my fucking God. And to which his race engineer said, you did the right thing for the team. Please pick up, please, or whatever. He's just telling him to, like, get back to the garage, right? And to which Charles says, fucking pick up what the fuck you want. And the radio is on. I am so sorry. This was Charles's no more Mr. Nice Guy moment. For real. We were screaming. We were screaming when this happened. As you can see, he does say, and the radio is on, I'm so sorry, which implies that he didn't want anyone to hear his monologue, like he was just kind of talking to himself. However, some people have theorized that he meant to leave it on and just said that to kind of save face. I don't care either way. I think it's just so, oh, I love to see a man snap. Oh, no more Mr. Nice Guy. You won't like me when I'm angry. Now we're nearing the end of the season. We go to Qatar. In the sprint, we have finally the freaking McLaren boys go against Papaya rules. Basically, we had a little opposite moment here where Lando was winning the sprint, but at the last second, he went against Papaya rules and he let Oscar pass him up and win the race. He said that he wanted to pay him back for, you know, letting him win that one sprint earlier and blah, 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 blah. This picture is so... Someone Photoshop him out. Someone Photoshop freaking Zach Brown out. Can someone Photoshop him, like, glowing? Like lava, like he's been sent to the sun, you know what I mean? Now, Oscar and Lando were basically the only two people happy about this, and the Lando-Oscar people. McLaren wanted to finish in the way that they were set to finish, with Lando winning and Oscar in second. And George Russell, who was in third, watching the whole thing unfold, later said in a post-race interview, he's like, I wish we could just race again. I don't like team orders. Like, what's up with this team order bullshit? So that's funny. Also, in Qatar, and a little bit afterwards, we had our Gax divorce. What's Gax? That is the ship name for George and Max. Basically what happened with them is that George Russell was claiming that Max Verstappen was driving dangerously slow during the qualifying. They end up in the steward's room, which is like, you know, the referee room. George is trying to make his argument. Max is trying to defend, yada, yada, yada. This is where we have pieced together from each of their discussions about what happened in the steward's room. No one else was in the room where it happened. But this is what we could piece together from what happened in the steward's room. Max claims that George was exaggerating about the seriousness of the incident and that he was abusing his power as the union president to try to get the stewards to listen to him more because they already kind of had a closer relationship than Max did with the stewards. My computer fan is whirling. I really hope you don't hear that. George claims that Max said in the room, "I'm going to put you on your fucking head in the wall." Oh. So then George Russell calls Max Verstappen a bully, and Max Verstappen calls George Russell a two-faced motherfucker. The actual race of Qatar was full of drama also. There were a ton of penalties being thrown out. You could read them all here if you want. 5 people ended up crashing out or not finishing. I don't understand why it was so intense. FIA was getting mad with power, dude. The Qatar sprint, we also got a 44-16 cutesy little moment where look at these two driving next to each other. Oh my god, that is sexy as hell. Don't tell me it's not. Look at this. Wheel to wheel, bitch. The fact that they didn't end up crashing out, it's just wow. I love them. Qatario said zoinks. Yay! Zhou Wang Yu got points. The only points that Sauber got the entire season, so this was lovely. This was lovely. What a way out. And finally, we are at the last race weekend. Thank God, I'm so sick of this shit. I love F1, but oh my god, my voice hurts so much. Jesus Christ. At the race weekend, we had Lewis Hamilton's annual driver dinner. I think it's Lewis Hamilton's. I'm pretty sure he's the one who hosts these. This one I would love to be at because there was so much drama I would want to just watch at the table. Specifically, rumor has it that Max and George were supposed to sit next to each other, but George had taken his seat and scooted it all the way over to the opposite end of the table. Bitch. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. Oh, George, I would say, is definitely taking this drama a little bit more seriously than Max with that rumor about the chair, but also just like with press conferences. He had a whole press conference about this drama. So what's Max's response? Oh, pregnancy announcement. He pulled a freaking Peter Malark. People were losing their minds. This season was crazy. How was this season real? It wasn't. It was fake. It was delusion. It was mass hysteria. Wow. Moving on, I guess. Moving on to Abu Dhabi practice. I'm just going to read this tweet out loud so you can understand what Charles Leclerc is going through right now. Imagine you are Charles Leclerc and you go out to eat with your colleagues and you discover that your crush is going to be a father. You are in a group with your ex-teammate and your future teammate and his ex-teammate and then feel sick with the food and lose your chances of winning the WCC, and after all that you take a grid penalty. Wow. Charles Leclerc is stronger than the Marines. I truly believe it. But alas, Charles did have one nice moment where he was able to drive on track with his brother Arthur Leclerc during practice. God, I need him to go on that villain arc so badly because I'm sick of seeing him so depressed after races, dude. Like, look at him. Charles had started the race in 19th place and he had make it up 16 spots to 3rd, and it still wasn't fucking enough to win the Constructors' Championship. The boy gives and gives and gives and he gets nothing in return. Oh, Charles. Yeah, so this is when McLaren had won the Constructors' Championship with the evil 666 points. Evil number for an evil team. A funny moment did happen in the post-race interview.
Of the Lando just did the snake under the, yep, a worm, a snake, I don't know what you were there. Where were we? That distracted me. I honestly lost. Where were we?
Of course, I have to talk about Oscar Piastri in this race. This was the final race, which meant that Oscar was finally allowed to get the title of 4th ever person to race every lap in a season. Again, look at the lineup. 7 world championships, 7 world championships, 4 world championships. It's only a matter of time, baby. During the race, Max was, being Max and was doing some risky driving that had led to him and Oscar both spitting out of the race. I think they both finished, but it kind of ruined Oscar's race. Oscar's reaction was, yep, movable world champion, that one. Max later commented on the incident and said, For me, the most important thing I had to do was apologize to Oscar because I had nothing to gain, nothing to lose. I went for it, it didn't work. I feel bad for him the most that we both spun out. It's not nice. He's a friend of mine, so I wanted things to be good between us when we go into winter break. Max barely apologizes to people, so once again, Oscar Piastri is everyone's favorite. The facts are facts. This race was Carlos Sainz's last race with Ferrari, and it was so much sad vibes all around. This was Charles Leclerc's helmet during the race, so yeah. Oh, Charlos. I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him. The race in general has just such emo vibes. There are 5 rookies next year, which means there are 5 people exiting F1 this year. And also, you know, there's a couple big switch ups with Lewis Hamilton moving to Ferrari next year. This is him, you know, saying goodbye to Mercedes and his car. It was so... Oh, also, if you notice, there's this man. Who is this man? That's Jack Doohan. As we may or may not recall, Esteban Ocon was fired this very last race, and Jack Doohan had taken his spot, which is so unfortunate because Esteban Ocon couldn't have been in this family photo. Oh, so sad. But he was at the driver's dinner, so, you know, at least there was that. Oh, God. We finally finished. Oh, God. What a season. Am I right? It was full of drama and such great driving and such stupid driving too, but I loved watching all of it. This is actually an incomplete compilation of all the breaking news that happened with F1. We are missing a couple of the announcements that happened post-season, but this is the majority of it. A lot of drama, dude. A lot of drama. If you read it like a book left to right, it's also in order, so that's fun. This is a graph showing all the driver moves and stuff. As we now know, these 3 are now going to be reserve drivers. Look at all that. Look at that spiderweb, dude. Crazy. This is made even crazier once you realize that the 2024 grid or starting grid was the same as the 2023 grid. So to go from the same exact grid to this is quite intense. And then we have all of Lewis Hamilton's records that a lot of them he broke this year. The ones he broke this year were most wins, most podiums, most points, most seasons with a win, most races led, most laps read, most races with one team, most wins at the same circuit, and I think also most wins and podiums at different circuits. The man is unstoppable. Here are some final like memes and tweets and stuff that I found funny throughout the season. So what am I excited for the 2025 season of F1? Yes, I am from the future where the 2025 season has already started, but these are some things I'm still excited about, okay? Obviously, I'm excited for Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari. It's my favorite driver and my favorite team. Like, come on out. That's... I'm so excited. Fingers freaking crossed for Charles Leclerc villain arc. I really want to see this guy just like freaking go at it, you know? Not give 2 shits about nothing. Please, Yuki Tsunoda, go arc. Please. Please. He got that damn promotion to Red Bull 2 races in, and I really need him to stunt on these hoes. I need him to do it. Please, Yuki. Oscar Piastri winner arc. Mark my freaking words. It will happen. I believe it. He's already won a race this season, so like, it's kind of already happening, like it's destined. Of course, I want Lewis Hamilton to win the WDC, but if he doesn't, I wouldn't mind Oscar Piastri getting it. I also wouldn't mind Charles Leclerc getting it. Can we do like a 3-way tie maybe? That'd be cool. Let's do that. I think we should do that. We have some cool reserve drivers with Valtteri Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, and Franco Colapinto, so if anything, the social media will be fun. Carlos Sainz might be the main character of this season, at least going into it. He has been booted from Ferrari to one of the worst teams on the grid, and he's been elected the director of the Drivers' Union. Like, ooh, those storylines are good. Ooh, those storylines are good! I think we should kill the FIA. I think we should do it. I think it's time. I think it's time. I'm not sure if the driver's going to stick by their guns and like fight back to the FIA. Based on what some of them are saying, specifically what George Russell has said about the FIA's new rules. But I think we should kill them. I think we should. This year is somewhat of a more even playing field. A lot of the teams that have been sucking aren't really sucking that much this year. And a lot of the teams that were dominating aren't really dominating either. We have a lot of good drivers who are like finally getting good cars, and just a lot of new drivers and drivers switching teams. It's really anybody's game. This is the last season before the 2026 overhaul. Next year, a lot of the regulations are going to change. It's going to be basically like a brand new start in F1, I think. So this is really everyone's last chance to showcase what they got before, you know, everything changes. So fingers crossed that leads to good driving. Eee! And of course, there are a ton of new rookies coming in, which is like, it's so good. So who are these rookies? Let's talk about them. Throughout this video, I might have said 5 rookies at some points, maybe 6 at other points. He's kind of the reason why. I'm not sure if Liam Lawson is technically actually a rookie, but oh well. As we now know, he's lost that Red Bull seat and is in the Red Bull Junior seat. I'm not sure if this makes him a victim or a survivor of the second seat curse, but it's tough. Unfortunately, I do not like him anymore. He said some really arrogant shit, and a lot of it has bite him in the ass. Yikes. I will admit, Red Bull's treatment of him absolutely sucks ass. I feel for him with that regard at least. Then we have Ollie. Yay! Ollie is of course my twin. He's just so me. He's so me. And he's goated. He's goated, trust me. Trust me. I know the Haas isn't really helping him right now, but trust, he's goated. I so badly want him to be the next Ferrari prince. He has it in it. I know he does. I just want him on my favorite team. That's really it. Jack Doohan we also already talked about. And Jack, I got 3 words for you. Lock the fuck in. Is the fuck one word? I think so. Next we have Kimi. This is Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He goes by Kimi. He's a new driver for Team Mercedes and he's 12. He's 12! In the time it's taken to make this video, my mom has gotten into F1, and all she ever says about Kimi is that he's 12. Mainly because he's really young and looks it, and it just happened to be a beautiful coincidence that his actual racing number is 12. He just turned 18, and this dude is literally still in school. That is a child laborer. Free him! Free him! To me, it is so crazy to have a kid so young be in literal F1. However, he is good. I will admit that. He's been doing so great in these past 2 races. It's actually like kind of shocking. Like, wow, maybe he is a prodigy. This guy is attached to the hip with Oliver Behrman, and I don't blame him. I think they were teammates in F2, so you know, they're cute little friends now. I just feel like cradling him like a small baby bird. Is that weird to say? Probably. He's just so endearing to me. Oh, Kimi. Speaking of people who are endearing to me, this is Isaac Hadjar, who is the second racer for RB, the Red Bull Junior team. Isaac I only had for 2 races, but I would literally kill for him. I will. So don't test me. He's a pretty good driver and has the potential to grow even more, I think. He was second in F2, so you know, he's got skill. I'm just really hoping that Red Bull does not tarnish his spark. The Red Bull conglomerate is evil and they do not treat their drivers right, so good luck, buddy. And our last rookie is Gabriel Bortolato. He is a 2024 F2 champion, which means Brazil numero uno. Yay! I hope you guys get that reference. Anyways, Gabriel is managed by Fernando Alonso, you know, the other F1 driver. I'm not really sure how that works, if I'm being honest, but Fernando Alonso is a multiple world champion and the most experienced driver ever. So if that has anything to say about this guy's talent, says good things. I do, however, need Sauber to step up their game immediately so that he can actually shine and prove that he has that talent. I don't know that much about this guy, except that apparently he's good, except I haven't really been seeing that yet. But I believe him. All right, we did it. We did it. Oh my God. That's it, dude. We did it. Oh my God. I think I have a total of 4 hours of footage. Holy shit. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this. I don't know who's gonna fucking watch this. No one's gonna watch me talk for probably like 2.5 hours about F1. Why did I do this? Anyways, that was it. That was the F1 2024 season, according to me. I'm never doing this again. Bye.